Each of us have a different way of selecting the books we wish to read. Some of us like to browse through the bookshelves in a library or those at a bookshop. Some of us rely on the feedback given by our friends, whereas some of us constantly look for book reviews in newspapers, journals, and websites. In each of these cases, what we are trying to do is gauge what would it be like to read the book. We want to know beforehand if the content of the book would interest us. We want to know if we should invest time and effort into reading the book and if the book will serve our purpose of reading, whether it is entertainment or academics. Therefore, a book review must suffice these purposes. It should give us a brief idea of the plot without revealing the details. It should give us an introduction to some of the themes covered in the novel. The review should be balanced and should include what the reviewer liked and also disliked about the book. Most importantly, it should give us what the experience of reading the book would be like. I belong to the generation that grew up reading Harry Potter. It is one of my favorite books. I remember the first time one of my friends thrust the book in my hand and pestered me to read it. I immediately flipped to the back cover of the book and read through the synopsis and book reviews. I remember thinking what had gotten into my bibliophile friend that made him pick up such a weird story. Then I read the first chapter, then the second chapter, then the second novel in the series, then the whole series, and the whole series again and again, so many times that I have lost count. The point here is that my friend and the synopsis had obviously done a poor job of catching my interest. Therefore, today, in order to understand book reviews better, I am turning to the review of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone published on theguardian.com. Let's see how successful the reviewer of The Guardian might have been in convincing me to read Harry Potter. The reviewer begins by writing that the Harry Potter series is one of his favorite books of all time. We can see that the reviewer has opened the book review with an assessment. As readers, we have a subconscious understanding that a professional book reviewer must have read many books, and if such a person can proclaim that the books are his all-time favorite, then there must be something worthwhile in it. At least, we would try to read on and know why the reviewer thinks so. The reviewer and I then have something in common. He too, like me, is not a fantasy reader. In spite of this, he proclaims Harry Potter is his favorite book. The reviewer has managed to bring the reader to his side by writing that they both share dislikes and then convincingly pushes us towards liking the book because if one person from the team can, then perhaps others too can like the book. At the same time, the reviewer has also managed to introduce his readers to the genre of the book. Harry Potter is fantasy. The reviewer then proceeds to give us a sense of the plot of the novel. As the description progresses, the fantastic elements of this fantasy pop up in front of us through this review. And it's not all about fantasy. We have friendships, battles, potions, something like botany, history, beasts, and dark forces all thrown in together. What the reviewer has accomplished here is that he has shown his readers who might share a common dislike for fantasy elements that are so bizarre that they want to read to know how their fellow brother could have fallen into the trap. Let's try to compile what we have read. Does the review give a summary of the novel's plot? Indeed, it does without revealing the climax of the novel. Does the review give a sense of the theme of the novel? Yes, we know that we will be exploring fantasy, friendships, dark forces, to name a few. Does the review give a sense of the plot of the novel? Yes, we get the feeling that as there are dark forces and battles in the novel, the plot will be akin to a thriller. Does the review assess the novel? Indeed, at the very beginning of the reviewer has informed us that it is one of his all-time favorites. Though this is not a direct assessment, it is a positive recommendation. Does the review attempt to analyze the novel? I would say no, as we have not discussed the themes, theories, or symbolism explored in the novel. The purpose here is to understand that a book review is, after all, not meant to analyze the book. Does the review give a sense of the experience of reading the novel? Oh yes. The novel promises to be thrilling, dark, bizarre, and therefore we get the feeling that reading this book will be a fun-filled experience. Why would I want to or not want to read the book? And why? Yes, I would. I know I am biased as I have read the book, but I do believe the reviewer has done a good job. Either you would want to read the book, or you would be absolutely sure that this fantasy with thrill is not for you. I would now urge you to go through the book review section in your newspaper or on a website or on a social media platform and decide if there is a book review that appeals to you. You could use this checklist as a guide. The link is in the description box below. But you don't just have to. Reading, after all, has to be fun, right from start to finish. So, happy reading. In obeisance to the divine in you. Namaste.